Let's be honest, most people are losing money every single day, not because they're lazy or stupid, but because nobody ever taught them how money actually works. School taught us algebra, maybe a little history, but somehow skipped over taxes, credit, investing, and why leaving your money in the wrong place can quietly make you poorer over time. And the worst part, a few basic financial mistakes can cost you thousands before you even realize it. So in this video, I'm breaking down the financial basics every adult should understand, and one of these is probably the reason most people stay broke far longer than they need to. By the end of this video, you'll understand how money works and how to make it work for you instead of against you. Let's start with taxes, because this is usually the first financial reality check people experience. You get your first job, you see your salary, you do the math in your head, and then payday hits. And suddenly you're thinking, wait, where did the rest of my money go? That's taxes. You've got income tax taking a cut of what you earn, sales tax when you spend, capital gains tax when investments grow, and then things like Social Security and Medicare. Whether you like taxes or not isn't the point. The point is, if you don't understand where your money is going, you'll always feel like you don't have enough of it. So here's the move. Pull up your latest paycheck and actually look at the deductions. Most people never do this, and that's exactly why money feels confusing, because once you see where your money is going, you can start controlling what happens next. And what happens next usually involves your bank. Most people think their money just sits safely in a bank. It doesn't. The moment you deposit money, the bank uses most of it to make loans, issue credit, and generate profit. This system works because banks assume not everyone will try to withdraw their money at the same time. And when that assumption breaks, things get ugly fast. Banks make money by paying you very little interest and charging borrowers a lot more. You provide the money, someone else uses it. The bank takes the difference. Here's what that means for you. If your money is just sitting in a low interest account doing nothing, it's not really working for you. At the very least, know what your bank pays you, what fees you're being charged, and whether your money could be doing more somewhere else. Because once you understand that, the next concept becomes a lot more important, and this is the one that quietly changes people's financial lives. Interest. This is where things either start working for you or against you. When you borrow money, interest is the cost. When you invest money, interest is the reward. But the real game changer is compound interest. That's when your money earns money, and then that money earns money too. That's how wealth builds. But the same thing happens in reverse with debt. That's why a small credit card balance can turn into a long-term problem. Interest starts stacking, then interest on the interest, and suddenly something small becomes expensive. So if you do nothing else after this video, do this. If you have high interest debt, especially credit cards, make that a priority. And if you're investing, start early, stay consistent, and leave it alone. That one principle alone separates a lot of financially stable people from financially stressed people. But even if you do that right, there's still something quietly working against you every year. Inflation. This is the slow, invisible force that makes your money worth less over time. Your money might still say $5, but what it can actually buy shrinks little by little. That's inflation. And this is why just saving money isn't always enough. Because if your money isn't growing, it's losing value. So here's the practical takeaway. Not all your money should sit in the same place. You want money for spending, money for emergencies, and money that's actually growing. Because if everything just sits in cash forever, inflation slowly wins. And when inflation gets out of control, it can lead to something even worse. Recessions. A recession is just a period where the economy starts shrinking instead of growing. That usually means job losses, slower business, market declines, and a lot of uncertainty. They're stressful, but they're also normal. Every economy goes through cycles, and most importantly, they don't last forever. So what should you actually do? Focus on stability, build an emergency fund, avoid unnecessary debt, and keep your expenses under control. Because the people who handle recessions best aren't the ones who panic. They're the ones who were prepared, and preparation ties directly into something that quietly affects almost every financial decision in your life. Your credit score. This is your financial reputation. It's a number that tells lenders how trustworthy you are, and it affects things like loan approvals, interest rates, housing, and even some job opportunities. A good score makes life cheaper. A bad one makes everything more expensive. It mainly comes down to paying on time, how much credit you use, how long you've had accounts, and how often you apply for new credit. If you want the simplest win here, pay every bill on time, every time. And if you use a credit card, keep your balance low. That alone fixes a huge percentage of credit problems. Now, this next idea sounds simple, but it explains almost everything about money. Money itself. Here's the truth, money only has value because people agree that it does. That's it. Paper money, digital numbers, even gold, their value comes from shared belief. That's why governments have to manage how much money exists. Too much, inflation, too little, economic slowdown. What this means for you is simple. Money is a tool, not the goal. And once you start seeing it that way, your decisions change. Which brings us to the most important long-term move you can make. Investing. This is how you stop inflation from slowly working against you. Instead of letting money sit still, you put it to work. That can be through stocks, bonds, funds, or real estate. And the biggest mistake beginners make? Waiting too long because they think they need to know everything first. They don't, because starting early matters way more than starting perfectly. So here's the move. Start small, stay consistent. Don't overthink it. That alone puts you ahead of most people. And once you understand investing, you realize something even bigger. Money doesn't just follow effort, it follows value. Money flows toward value, not just time, not just hard work, value. If you can create something people genuinely want or need, a skill, a service, a product, money tends to follow. So ask yourself this: what problem can I solve that people actually care about? That question alone can change your financial future. And finally, this last one ties everything together. Time. This is the most underrated financial asset you have because money has one superpower. It multiplies best when you give it time. That's why someone who starts early often ends up ahead of someone who earns more but starts later. You don't need to be rich to build wealth. You need to start, stay consistent, and stop waiting because the perfect time almost never comes. Now you know the rules. What you do next is up to you. If this video helped make money a little less confusing, subscribe. I break this stuff down simply so you don't have to learn it the hard way. And if you want to understand why investing early is so powerful, watch this next video on why your first $250,000 changes everything. That's where things really start to click. I'll see you there.